What if I told you the anthems that shook stadiums weren't born on giant stages, but in basements, accidents, and moments of rebellion? Queen once faked the roar of thousands with nothing more than stomps and claps. Aerosmith's Dream On, written by a teenager, nearly vanished before radio turned it into a legend. Another band's epic finale began only because the singer walked off mid-song. And one fiery anthem exploded from pure rage at a shocking insult. Stick around because this is 10 groundbreaking songs that gave birth to arena rock. Let's kick things off with a band that turned crowd energy into pure magic. I'm talking about Queen's We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions from 1977. These aren't just songs, they were crafted to dominate huge stadiums. Creating this double punch took serious work, with every detail fine-tuned to capture the roar of thousands. For We Will Rock You, Queen overdubbed stomps and claps dozens of times, then used delay effects to make it sound like a massive crowd. It's a studio trick that pulls you right into the arena, even through tiny speakers. If studio tricks made crowds roar, wait until you hear how another band's slow radio climb built its own epic moment. Then there's We Are the Champions. When Freddie Mercury belts out, "I've paid my dues," you feel the weight of every struggle. It's personal, yet it somehow connects with everyone. Fun fact, these tracks were released as a double A-side single meant to play consecutively. This wasn't just a happy accident, it was a deliberate choice that made them the ultimate live finale at stadium events. From sports games to their unforgettable 1985 Live Aid set, where the world sang along. Here's why they matter. Queen fused raw crowd power with soaring victory cries, creating a formula for arena rock. Stick around to see how raw emotion in another song carved its own path to the big stage. But before that, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Here's Aerosmith's Dream On from 1973. This track began as pure emotion, penned by Steven Tyler at just 14 years old. Every line drips with hope and longing, a young dreamer aching for something bigger. By the time it landed on their debut album, that raw fire still burned bright. Success wasn't instant, though. Dream On barely registered at first, peaking at number 59 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1973, only to soar to number 6 with a 1975 re-release thanks to relentless radio play. That slow burn transformed it into a juggernaut. The song opens soft, almost a murmur, then erupts into a screaming chorus. That shift from quiet pain to loud release became the blueprint for power ballads, a structure critics call the standard for arena rock emotion. It's a formula bands echoed for years. Here's a wild bit. Years later, the original master track went missing during a Guitar Hero project, forcing Aerosmith to re-record it. That messy twist just adds to its rock and roll legend. Dream On showed arena rock could be both vulnerable and powerful, setting a new path for emotional anthems. Up next, let's see how another track captured a different kind of untamed spirit. Let's dive into Freebird by Lynyrd Skynyrd from 1974. It starts as a tender southern ballad with soft chords and aching lyrics, but then it transforms into something huge, a 4-minute triple guitar jam that feels like it could rattle any stadium. That shift grabs you and doesn't let go. Here's the crazy part, that epic outro wasn't even planned. Ronnie Van Zant needed a break for his sore throat during a live gig, so he asked the band to keep playing. Alan Collins, Ed King, and Gary Rosington turned that moment into a jaw-dropping instrumental, raw and unforgettable. Picture this, fans at concerts shouting, "Play Freebird," no matter who's on stage. It's become a rock tradition, sometimes a playful heckle, showing how this song transcended music to become a cultural moment. The band and their label initially worried it was too long for a single, but live performances with roaring crowd reactions proved its length was its power. And after the tragic 1977 plane crash that took several band members, Freebird gained a deeper, bittersweet meaning for listeners. Here's why it matters. Freebird showed arena rock could swing from gentle to gigantic, defining live energy. Next, let's explore how another band harnessed that same crowd connection in a whole new way. Here's Kiss with Rock and Roll All Night from 1975. This song was designed to get crowds roaring, to create a shared explosion of energy in any venue. But the real magic didn't come from studio polish. It was all about capturing the crowd's raw roar. Here's the deal. The studio version was okay, peaking at just number 68 on the Billboard chart. But the live cut on their Alive album? That hit number 12, fueled by sweat and fan frenzy. It turned a simple track into an unstoppable force you couldn't ignore. Imagine Kiss under pressure from Casablanca Records president Neil Bogart. He demanded an anthem to rally fans, and he wouldn't back off until they delivered. So they built this hit by fusing Paul Stanley's catchy chorus with a verse from an older Gene Simmons tune. The result? A driving beat anyone could scream along to. It worked beyond their wildest dreams. That chorus, "I want to rock and roll all night and party every day," became a mission statement for a generation craving wild release. Kiss proved arena rock lives in live chaos, not just clean recordings. Now let's hear how one song's long, solitary creation still echoed like a packed stadium. More Than a Feeling by Boston was released in 1976. This wasn't a rushed creation. Tom Scholz, the genius behind it, spent 5 years in his basement studio, leading a one-man studio revolution. He obsessively layered guitars and vocals, tweaking every detail to craft a polished, stadium-sized sound. That kind of dedication is rare, and it paid off huge. Here's the thing, this song didn't need a stage to feel massive. The riff hooks you right away, sharp and unforgettable, while the chorus soars to arena heights from the first note. Scholz made sure every harmony hit hard. This hit proves arena-sized sound could be manufactured alone, in a basement, not only generated on stage. Think about the lyrics, full of memory and longing. Lines like, "I closed my eyes and I slipped away," pulled you into a shared emotion, something anyone can feel no matter when you heard it. It's personal, yet universal. It reached number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 and helped turn their debut album into a blockbuster seller, with millions of copies sold. Even Nirvana nodded to its influence, playing that iconic riff live as a seg into Smells Like Teen Spirit. Boston showed arena rock could be born in solitude. Stick around now to see how complexity and raw power found a perfect balance in another unforgettable track. Here's Carry On Wayward Son by Kansas, released in 1976. This track fuses complex harmonies with catchy hooks, creating a sound that's both cerebral and instantly lovable. It plays as well in your earbuds as it does booming through a massive venue, drawing everyone into its energy. Kerry Livgren created this song in just 2 days, facing an album deadline for Leftoverture. He channeled personal turmoil into lyrics full of existential searching. Lines like, "Once I rose above the noise and confusion," reflect a quest for clarity, striking a chord with anyone wrestling with life's big questions. Imagine it starting with a striking a cappella harmony, pulling you in instantly. Then it shifts to crunchy pentatonic riffs, driving forward with raw power. It's a dynamic ride packed into a few minutes, tailor-made for huge crowds with a layered intensity. The line, "Surely heaven waits for you," felt almost compelled to Livgren, foreshadowing his later conversion to Christianity. It adds a haunting depth to the song's message. It hit number 11 on the Billboard Hot 100, becoming Kansas' first major hit, and turned them into a headlining act, selling out large venues. Kansas proved arena rock could blend deep thought with sing-along might. Up next, hear how a fleeting moment captured a city's soul. I'm talking about Journey's Lights from 1978. This track came together in a flash, with Steve Perry and Neil Schon writing it in a mere 20 minutes. That quick burst of inspiration didn't limit its impact, though. It grew into a true Bay Area anthem, a song that feels like home to countless fans in San Francisco. At first, it didn't look like much. Lights only reached number 68 on the Billboard Hot 100, a modest blip for a rock tune. But it endured as a regional and live staple in the Bay Area, becoming a perennial on local radio. That's why it's so tied to Journey's live identity. Crowds there can't get enough, making it a hometown classic. Picture Perry's voice, warm and nostalgic, soaring on when the lights go down in the city. Paired with "And the Sun Shines on the Bay," it radiates belonging and pride. It's a feeling that lingers. Fun fact, Perry wrote it about Los Angeles, but after joining Journey, he switched it to San Francisco to reflect his personal tie and the band's roots. Wonder how a quick write became an emotional cornerstone for fans? Here's why it counts. Journey turned a fleeting idea into a lasting ode to home in arenas. Written in 20 minutes and sung in stadiums for decades. Now let's explore how raw emotion fueled another powerful stand. Here's Heart's Barracuda from 1977. This song hits hard with Ann Wilson's searing vocals slicing through the mix. Backed by a relentless galloping riff, it stood tall against the male-dominated rock world of the era. It's more than a tune, it's a fierce declaration, proving a female voice could command any stage with raw power. What sparked it? Unfiltered rage. A record promoter threw out a sleazy remark about Ann and her sister Nancy, implying something cheap and personal. That insult ignited a firestorm. Ann poured her fury into biting lyrics, turning Barracuda into a visceral strike against predators everywhere. It resonated, soaring to number 11 on the Billboard Hot 100. Picture Nancy's guitar riff and Ann's vocal attack, transforming personal anger into a stadium-sized statement. Remember how that riff sounded blasting from an arena PA? It's unapologetic, paired with vocals that demand attention, making it a force in massive venues. Nancy admitted that iconic riff was inspired by a Nazareth track, which itself drew from a Joni Mitchell cover. It's a cool reminder of how rock builds on shared ideas. Heart unleashed a female-led hurricane in arena rock, breaking barriers with sheer grit. Let's move on and look at how a song can pull you into a gripping tale. I'm talking about Renegade by Styx from 1978. It hooks you instantly with a haunting intro, starting slow with just voices and a faint drum, before bursting into a full band explosion. The guitars strike hard, the rhythm pushes forward, and the harmonies grab you tight. You're locked in from the first note. What gives it weight is the tale of an outlaw staring down his final moments. The lyrics, shaped like a letter to his mom, carry raw fear and regret. Yet there's a defiant pride woven in. That blend of emotions turns a basic story into something that sticks with you long after it ends. Picture that slow drum, designed to sound like a heartbeat, setting a tense mood. Then the vocals swing from quiet dread to bold resistance, echoing the story's arc. The shift from solemn intro to explosive chorus mirrors the narrative, making it a perfect fit for dramatic live encores. It's built to make huge crowds feel every twist. It climbed to number 16 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became a fan favorite for encore drama, still a go-to set closer in big venues. Styx showed arena rock could be a mini drama, blending story and sound to captivate. Stick around as we uncover another track that stretched boundaries in its own bold way. Welcome to the Hotel California. Let's explore Hotel California by Eagles from 1977. This isn't just a track, it's a 6-minute journey with sharp storytelling and a sprawling cinematic sound. The lyrics, crafted by Don Henley and Glenn Frey, critique the darker side of fame and the California dream, exposing the excess and traps of success. They create a haunting image of being caught in a gilded cage, a warning wrapped in a melody you can't shake. Here's the grit behind it. Henley demanded perfection. He insisted Don Felder replicate the iconic guitar solo exactly as it was on a year-old demo, forcing Felder to relearn his own part. That relentless focus shows how much every note mattered. Fun fact, Felder wrote the chord progression at a Malibu beach house, and the song later won a Grammy for Record of the Year, proving its heavyweight status. Picture the line, you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. It's a party anthem with a bitter sting, a rare blend that hooks you. That contrast keeps it alive in memory. Think about its legacy. Eagles proved a long, artful piece could still become a mainstream stadium staple. These 10 songs didn't just play in arenas, they formed the architectural blueprint of arena rock, using studio tricks, epic jams, meticulous production, and a gripping drama to sound massive. Which of these studio stories do you remember hearing for the first time? And which anthem brings you back to a specific concert or radio moment? Drop your anthem and memory in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more music history like this.